Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is FAHMIDA CHANNA, lecturer Zoology. Dear students, today I am going to deliver a lecture about skeletal system from biology inter class. Endoskeleton of man. Endoskeleton is the internal framework of body. Endoskeleton is made up of bones and cartilage. Function of endoskeleton: it gives shape to body, it protects organs, it provides supporting framework. Bone marrow produce red blood cells. Human have 206 bones. A human endoskeleton about 55%, it means 18% of the total weight of the body. Functions of the endoskeleton: support, protection for delicate organs like heart, lungs, brain. They are movement. Bones act as a lever for muscles. Mineral storage like calcium and phosphate. Blood cell formation, red, white and platelets. They are all the functions of skeletal systems. Now let's move to the bones. What is bones? These are the hard connective tissues that form the endoskeleton of the body. Bone is composed of matrix of collagen fibers. The collagen fiber of bones are hardened by deposit of salts, calcium phosphate. There are three types of cells related with bones: osteoblast, osteocytes, osteoclast. There are three types are showing in this figure also. These are the osteoclast, these are osteoblast, and these one are the osteoblast cells of bones. What is osteoblast? These are the bone forming cells that is known as osteoblast. Osteocyte, mature bone cells are known as osteocytes. Osteoclast, these are bone dissolving cells that is known as osteoclasts. How the bone form in three steps: stem cells, osteoblast and osteocyte. Now cartilage. Cartilage is a much softer than bone. It is a form of connective tissue. It covers end of the bone at the joint and also support the flexible portion of external ears. The living cells of cartilage are known as chondrocytes. These cells secrete flexible, elastic, non-living matrix collagen that surround the chondrocytes. There are two types of cartilage: hyaline cartilage, it is the most abundant type of cartilage in human body. Hyaline cartilage found at the movable joints. Fibrocartilage, it has a matrix containing bundle of collagen fibers. It forms external pinnae of ear and epiglottis. Now in this figure show the skull and containing bones are present, also showing in this figure. Now it is made up of cranium and facial bones. The cranium consists of 8 bones. 4 are unpaired, 2 are paired bones which are protect the brain. These all are said to be suture bones. These are peritoneal bone, these are frontal bone, these are nasal bone, these are sphenoid bone, these are temporal bone. Optic canal is present in this hair, and these are the lacrimal bones. The all are present in this skull. The facial bones are 14, of which 6 are paired and 2 are unpaired bones. Which one are unpaired bones? These are very important points. Mandible, that bone is a mandible, and that is unpaired bone in a facial bone. And that bone that is known as femur, that is present here, that is unpaired bone of human skull, facial bones. Now the axial skeleton that showing in this figure, interior view as well as posterior view. The axial skeleton is consist of skull, ribs, vertebrae, that is vertebrae, and that one is the sternum, chest bone. They are 4 part containing skeleton present in a human body. They have present vertebrae have a different regions and their different names. In the neck region vertebrae is present, that is known as cervical. In the thoracic region present, that is known as thoracic vertebrae, and below the thoracic region that is present vertebrae that is known as lumbar, and in the last that is known as coccus. Now vertebral column. Vertebral column extend from skull to the pelvis to form backbone which protects the spinal cord. The vertebral column consists of 33 bones. The vertebrae are named according to their location in the body, such as the cervical, thoracic, lumbar and pelvic vertebrae. The cervical vertebrae consist of 7 bones which lie in the neck region, therefore their name is cervical because cervix means neck. These are the 7 vertebrae bones that is known as cervical vertebrae. Afterwards, from 7 to these 12 that is known present in the chest region or thorax region, therefore that is known as thoracic vertebrae. And these are 5 present below this thoracic region that is known as lumbar vertebrae. And these parts that is known as sacrum, these are fused, and these are also coccyx are fused. These are 4 in number. Now the 9 bones are in the pelvis region, which are formed 2 sets, sacrum and coccyx. Sacrum contains of 5 fused bones and coccyx contain 4 fused bones. Now ribs. There is a 12 pair of ribs protecting chest cavity altogether, forming a rib cage that is known as rib cage. That is a cage like structure showing in this figure. That is 12 pairs of these ribs that is a protect the chest cavity, showing in this number also. And here that is the last part of the axial skeleton that is known as sternum, that is a chest bone found here, that is showing in this figure also. Now let's move to the other part of skeleton, that is appendicular skeleton, that is a consist of 4 limbs, hind limbs of human beings, that is showing in this figure also. Now let's move to understand that each of human forelimbs consists of 30 bones, a humerus which form a ball and socket joint with scapula, and 2 long parallel bones, the radius and ulna. Carpals contain 8 bones at a wrist which articulate with 5 metacarpals of the palm. 14 small bones in the fingers, that is known as phalanges. Pectoral girdle, clavicle, scapula, they present in forelimbs. Now let's move to understand through the help of this figure. This is a forelimb structure. That region is known as clavicle, that part is known as scapula, and that is part is the humerus. That arm is known as region part is known as humerus bone. That is ulna bone, that is a radius bone. These are 8 carpals or wrist bones. These are 8 in number. These are 5 metacarpals means palm bones. There are 14 bones found in digits or fingers, that is known as phalanges. They are showing in this figure. I hope you understand. Now let's move to the hind limbs of appendicular skeleton. The hind limbs consist of pelvic girdle, coxal bones, femur, patella, fibula, tibia. Foot consists of tarsals, metatarsals, phalanges. Pelvic girdle is served to attach the legs with the vertebral column at the hip region. Each pelvic girdle called animated bone, that is formed by the fusion of 3 bones, ilium, ischium, pubic bone. The bones of hind limbs include a femur is the high connecting leg with pelvic girdle by ball and socket joint. Femur is the longest and strongest bone of skeleton of human beings. Tibia, 2 long parallel bones, patella bone at the knee joint, fibula in the shark with a small patella bone. Now let's move to understand through the help of figure. This is appendicular lower limb, legs. Now this region, this bone is known as femur bone, that is the longest and strongest bone of the body. This knee bone that is known as this knee bone is known as patella bone. These are the tibia bone, and this one that is known as fibula. These ankle bones of foot that is known as tarsals. These are sole of the foot consist of metatarsals, 5 bones, about 14 are present in each foot. Digits consist of 14 phalanges bones are present. This figure shows the axial and appendicular skeleton. They are coloring showing this skeleton. The grayish color show the appendicular skeleton. Now let's move to understand this. That is one what? That is appendicular skeleton, that is grayish color, and a lightish this color showing the axial skeleton, that is a axial skeleton. Skull, vertebrae, ribs and hair in this position. This one that is known as sternum bone. These all are what? That is axial skeleton of man, and they all that is consist of humerus, femurs, forelimbs and hind limbs, that is appendicular skeleton. Trick for memorize this skeleton system, the which bone is present, which type of skeleton. In front from head to vertebrae, in the central parts, that is axial skeleton. The remaining parts that are attached with center like forelimbs and hind limbs, they are the appendicular skeleton. Now joints, the junction between two bones, that is known as joint. Now let's move to understand other definition of joint. The point where two or more bones are meet together, that is known as joint. Now joints not only hold our skeleton together but also give its mobility. Joints are classified on the basis of amount of movement allowed by them into three categories: a movable joints, slightly movable joints, third is freely movable joint. Unmovable joints are fixed joints. Those joints which do not allow the joint bones to move, that is known as fixed joints, are immovable joints. Their example are bone of skull, that is showing in this figure. These bone of there are 8 bones present in a skull, that is known as suture. These are fixed bone, they are not movable bone. Now slightly or partially movable joints, those joints allow a little movement, that is known as partially movable joint, that is present in our ribs and vertebrae, that is showing in this figure. These red coloration or this laser point is showing. These are bones joints, they are the slightly or partially movable joints present in ribs and vertebrae. Now third type, that is known as free movable joints, those joints which move freely, that is known as free movable joint, that is a ball and socket joint, that a hinge joint. Example of that showing in this figure, that is a hinge joint. Ball and socket joint, in this type one of the bone form a ball like head where the opposite bone form a socket in which ball is fitted. That this type of joint that allow movement in a many direction, like your hip joint and your shoulder joints. They are the example of ball and socket joint. Now let's start the hip joint. In this type, joints show movement in a one plane only. The example is knee joint and elbow joint. They are showing here the knee joint. Now start the pivot joint. It is a joint which allows twisting movement, a joint in which a bone rotates around another, that is known as pivot joint. Example, rotation of palm upside and downside, that is known as pivot joint. Here showing the pivot joint. Sliding joint, a joint in which bone slides over another and allow movement in a many direction, that is known as sliding joint, like ankle and a wrist joint. Now the gliding joint, a joint in which bones move over another in a back and forth manner, that is known as gliding joint. That example is vertebral column. In this figure shows also ball and socket joint. This one is a clavicle and scapula. This is a pectoral girdle, that is a ball and socket joint, that is a hinge joint. They work like hinge of doors. Now the anatomy of joints. Ligament consists joints, fibrous capsule, synovial membrane and synovial fluid. They are 4 parts present in the joints inside. Ligament is a connective tissue. Ligament is a point of attachment of two bones at the point of joint. Fibrous capsule, a whitish tough covering that encloses movable joint, that is known as fibrous capsule. Synovial membrane, joint capsule is internally lined with synovial membrane. Now synovial fluid, that is the last part, it is secrete from synovial membrane, a viscous fluid called synovial fluid. It serves as a lubricant that reduces friction and keep joint moving freely. Dear students, I hope you understand today's lecture about endoskeleton of human beings, bones, joint, etc. Please share your feedbacks or comments about today's lecture. Thanks to all watching this video. Allah Hafiz.